Hey everybody, how's it going? In this video, we're going to continue our talk about array data structures, but first let's recap really quickly. We understood what a data structure is in the last video, and we understood what an array is in the last video. It's just simply a contiguous array of elements next to each other. 1, 10, 1000, whatever you want, right? So we also touched on something very important, which is that they all have to be of the same type. So if one of them is an integer, they all have to be an integer. If one of them a float, they all have to be a float. If one of them is a string, they have to be all a string. And if one of them is a boolean, they have to be all a boolean. Great. But in Python, we have something that goes a step beyond that. It's called a list. So a list has the same properties that we mentioned up till now, and then some. So what is and then some? Well, it basically has the capability to store things that aren't of the same data type next to each other. So for example, you could have a 10 next to a word, let's say Mora, next to a Boolean value, which is true, next to a float, which is 1000.5, and you'd have everything there, no problem. And that is what a list is. So that is the main difference between a list and an array. There are, of course, a bunch of other differences between arrays and lists, but array is the very, very primitive way of structuring contiguous data. Lists are a more advanced way of structuring data, right? And this is array and this is lists. So if at any point during this course you see me refer to an array as a list or to list as an array, this is just simply the way that people talk in general. They sometimes use it interchangeably in Python. But when it comes down to it, you have to know the difference between array and lists, because if you are going to learn other programming languages, you need to be able to learn the difference between them. But in Python, we use lists almost 100% of the times and not the primitive arrays. Okay? All right, see you in the next one.